faces, bright minds, dreamers we stand with pride, where passion meets breakthrough, visions collide. Welcome to Glam Chemist.
It's been a minute, and by a minute I mean a whole season of growth, lessons, and clarity. But today marks a new era. Season 2 isn't just a comeback, it's a revival. I really appreciate your patience during this time, and I'm really happy to be back. In this episode, we're going to be discussing who am I, welcoming you back, telling you about the new ideas that we have for this podcast and introductions to some of our guests, and discussing my reason for leave of absence. Every Wednesday, we will be interviewing a new member of our STEM community. They'll be sharing with us their stories of how they got there, how they pursued their education, and what they love most about their careers now. This season, you're going to hear from environmental scientists, obviously cosmetic chemists, biologists, and everyone from every corner of STEM. I hope to use this as a unifier for our community to provide information and resources on where to reach out to if you're looking to pursue these careers or want to learn more about a different career path. I started this podcast back in 2021 in order to find community and reach out to folks post-pandemic within my industry to learn more about their experiences and shared experiences. I now am restarting the podcast to find those same answers. Junior year of high school, with the support of my physics teacher, I realized that STEM was something I was really good at. I understood just what they were teaching me and how to apply those skills. It seems that my brain always worked analytically. To me, this seemed like the perfect career match, given that it's junior year and you're supposed to know what you want to do with your life. And so I made up my mind. I was going to become a chemist. When I think of representation in science, I don't really have many people to look up to. The only other person I know that is a chemist is my godfather. My godfather was a chemist in Puerto Rico. He worked in pharmaceuticals for many years and retired early because of the exposure to all of the chemicals. But he speaks so highly of his career and his time in the lab. I don't know why that always stuck with me, but I'm thankful that it did. Because when I found myself at a crossroads trying to decide what to do with my future, chemistry just sounded so right. It only was fitting that I became a cosmetic chemist because my grandmother, who's a lovely, beautiful, kind, and adored woman from Washington Heights, for as long as I've known her, she's always had a salon, and I can remember visiting her every weekend and coming back 10 times as beautiful. There wasn't a hairstyle she wouldn't try. There wasn't a dress she wouldn't buy me. Everything in my life was beautiful and colorful, for as long as I could remember. So it only made sense that my three worlds would collide in a beautiful career. Science, because it's something I really understood and it sounded like a practical career, right? Beauty, because frankly I inherited the love. What I love about cosmetic science is how it intersects with fashion and culture. It's the most beautiful place to be if you want to be a creative but still want to be a nerd about it. So I committed to it. I did everything I could to get into college. I did everything I could to get the scholarships to attend. I tried to pick the best program that would bring me the most success. And I seemingly found that at U Sciences in Philadelphia. I worked incredibly hard to get to where I was when you met me in 2021. It's crazy to think now that it's something that I'm not incredibly passionate about after all the time I spent trying to achieve that goal. But the reality is I'm not just one thing. I still am a chemist. I got the degree to prove it. I still am a cosmetic scientist. I have the experience on my resume to prove that. But maybe now it looks a little different. What do I do with all the experience I have? And what do I do with the loss of something that I was really, really gunning for? If I'm honest, looking back, it's not something I was incredibly passionate about at the time. My passion did grow when I was in industry and I was able to apply all my skills and found success in the work that I was doing. But looking back, there were so many other things I was interested in, and STEM is so hard. We talk about this a lot in this podcast. Pursuing a career in STEM is not easy. It requires so much of you, and it requires so many sacrifices. You don't get to go to all the fun parties because you're studying or finishing labs. You don't get to have the same college experience because your curriculum is so incredibly rigorous. But somehow I made it through. And it wasn't alone. I really couldn't have done it without the friendships I made in college. A lot of us in that chemistry program at U Sciences, which actually doesn't exist anymore, but that's a story for another day. But all of us, all 19, was it? Maybe 13 of us, somehow made it through sleepless nights and hours of failed labs, and even more hours of writing them. Ultimately, I got that degree, and there was nothing that was going to stop me. I found a lot of success in my life when it came to following my pursuits of cosmetic science. I was able to start a business. I've made a lot of friends. I've networked in a lovely way. I've been featured in magazines. I started this podcast. I've done a lot of amazing things because I pursued my career in cosmetic science. Unfortunately, not everything that is pretty and beautiful on the outside is as nice as it looks on the inside. I am a first-generation graduate, and the levels of goals and aspirations that I was expected to achieve were really, really minimal. I've already exceeded our expectations. I've exceeded my own. When you get to the point where you've reached all your goals and you're only 27, it gets a little existential. I found myself really lacking passion. I couldn't bring myself to do the things that I had enjoyed previously, and not just in my career, but in my personal life. I suddenly found myself in a very dark, downward spiral emotionally. And I think this is just a story about burnout, which I know now is not a completely unique experience. It's unfortunate for all of us to experience, but I think that I girl bossed a little too close to the sun, a little too fast. For a long time, fear held me back. I lacked the confidence to return to this mic. I realized that there was a lot holding me back from showing up fully. I wasn't being honest with myself, and I wasn't willing to share my true story when it came to who I am, my background, what I've overcome, and how I've gotten myself here. In this pause, I learned a lot about myself, about resilience, about the importance of rest, and about how much this platform really means to me. The reality is, this glow up isn't just vanity. It's from the inside. I've finally gained the confidence that I needed to use my voice in the most powerful way I can think about. I realize that the way I communicate is my superpower, and sharing stories with you is some of the highlights of the time that I've been a cosmetic chemist. I forgot why I even started this in the first place. I forgot where the passion even stemmed from in the beginning. I forgot about that young person that was so eager to become a scientist. I did so many incredible things so quickly that I found myself lacking the emotional growth to do those things well and appreciate them for what they were. I realized cosmetic science is not something I'm totally in love with anymore, which is quite disappointing considering I've dedicated so much of my life to it. But I also have to be okay with the art of the pivot. I really did find success in this industry. Today's episode is brought to you by Keris Cosmetics, where pro-quality makeup meets skin-loving formulas. Visit keriscosmetics.us to get 15% off your first order by signing up for their newsletter. Thank you to Keris Cosmetics for supporting this episode. Okay, let's talk about it. Where have I been? As of right now, I am no longer part of the cosmetic science industry. About a year ago, I decided that cosmetic science just wasn't for me anymore. This is a surprise to everyone, including myself, given that, as I've shared in the podcast, I attended university knowing that I wanted to become a chemist so that I could become a cosmetic scientist. But then life got real, and if I'm honest, I hit a wall. I was juggling a lot: work, my personal growth, this podcast, relationships, friendships, networking, traveling, career. There was a lot of personal challenges at the time, and I didn't have the capacity to pour into this in the way that I wanted to. And for me, this space deserves full energy and not just a half version of me. And if I'm honest, I was walking around with a half version of myself for a while there. In spite of everything that's happened in the past couple of years, I am very excited to be back. I'm excited to network, build community, find a new home for myself, and I'm excited to bring you along. The reality is, this podcast has always been incredibly honest, that it's not always easy to find your footing in the STEM industries. I'm finding that this time has been helping me get more motivated and excited to pursue different sciences. I don't know that I'll find my home in cosmetic science again, but I'm hoping that this podcast will help me find my next career path. My biggest goal moving forward is to obviously grow this podcast into a lovely space so that everyone can find resources that they need in order to pursue their careers or higher education. But on a personal level, I hope to use this podcast to fall in love with a new industry in STEM and use my degree in a positive, wonderful, passionate way. And I hope that this also encourages other listeners to do the same. I'm really excited for this new chapter of the podcast because it's more exploratory than I've ever imagined it being. I get to also learn with you guys what options we all have. I know that this podcast has been a great resource for young folks in school, and I really appreciate all of our listeners and being involved. I'm happy to be back. I'm in a new place. I'm starting something new with you. I love the idea of us building community as we find our footing in our industries. I hope you guys appreciate this episode and appreciate this new season of the podcast as much as I do. I am so happy to welcome you back. Thank you for joining us. See you next time. I'm proud to announce that you can find the Glam Chemist Podcast on any platform that shares podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Lemonade. Be sure to follow our content so that you know who our new guests might be every week. Also use that platform to ask any questions or suggest anyone that you would like to participate in the podcast. This entire platform is for you. We will work together to build this community, and my goal is to share all the information you might need. So feel free to ask. I'll do my best to speak to those folks so that we can all share in the conversation. New episodes will be released every Wednesday. You'll hear some familiar voices and find some new ones. The Glam Chemist Podcast is a Hija de Lolita's production. The episode's jingle was created by Producer AI. Recording and editing is done by your host, Genesis Velazquez. Special thanks to Caris Cosmetics.